Fourth graders, Mrs. Han here, and today we are going to be reading Still Standing, The Leaning Tower of Pisa from Lesson 2.11 in your OLS. The Leaning Tower of Pisa stands in the town of Pisa, Italy. It was constructed in 3 phases with long gaps of time in between. Work began in 1173. The tower was not completed until 1370, though. The actual work only took about 20 years. The Leaning Tower of Pisa was built next to the Cathedral of Pisa. It is used as a bell tower for the cathedral. The 7 bells at the top of the tower ring during church services and other important occasions. This text feature is called a caption since it's right next to the picture. The 8-story bell tower got its name because it has been leaning ever since its 3rd story was added in 1178. It wasn't meant to lean. It was built on soft soil made up of clay, sand, and silt. That's a bolded word. The soft soil could not support the weight of the tower as it got taller. As a result, the base and the tower began to tilt, first towards the north side and then later towards the south side. The tower's base began to shift because of the soft soil it was built on. With each additional level, the tilt of the tower increased. In each of the building phases, the builders tried different ways to fix the problem. Unfortunately, nothing they did stopped the tower from shifting. What's more, not only did the builders fail to help the situation, they only made things worse. The tower tilted only 0.2 degrees when it was completed. But over the centuries, the tower leaned farther and farther every year. For a long time, it was not known exactly how much the tower shifted each year. Finally, in 1911, scientists began to measure and record the tower's movement. Using that data, scientists discovered something startling. With mathematical equations, they predicted that the tower would fall over when it tilted 5.44 degrees. Engineers tried to stop the tower's movements in the 1930s and again in the 1960s, but they were not successful. Luckily, the predicted collapse did not happen at 5.44 degrees. In fact, the tower has never fallen. The tower seems to defy the laws of gravity. By the 1990s, however, the tower's tilt reached 5.5 degrees. Scientists believed it was only a matter of time before the tower would fall if nothing was done to stop its movement. Scientists had predicted the tower would fall when the angle of the tilt measured 5.44 degrees. Fun fact, the Leaning Tower of Pisa is 55.86 meters tall and weighs 14,500 metric tons. So, how is the tower still standing? Every object has a center of gravity. An object's center of gravity is the point at which it is balanced. A seesaw, for instance, has a center of gravity where you would expect, at its very center. Other objects have their center of gravity off-center. For example, a hammer's center of gravity is closer to the head of the hammer because that end of the hammer weighs more than the handle end. Think about an empty can sitting balanced on a flat surface. Imagine that a string is attached to its center of gravity. There is a weight tied to the other end of the string. When the can sits flat, the weight at the center of the base of the can. You can see this in Figure 1. As the can is tilted, the weight moves. In Figure 2 and 3, the weight still intersects the base of the can. As long as the weight falls somewhere on the base of the can will not fall over. When the weight is no longer on the base of the can, as in Figure 4, the can will finally fall. So now we know one reason that the Leaning Tower of Pisa has not fallen over is that the line through its center of gravity has always intersected the base of the tower. The Leaning Tower of Pisa will fall over when the line through the center of gravity no longer intersects its base. Thankfully, scientists and engineers started working on the tower in 1992. Their goals were to stop the movement of the tower and to decrease how much it currently leaned. The engineers did not have an easy task. Because of the tower's history and popularity as a tourist attraction, they were not allowed to change how the tower looked. In other words, it still had to lean. They also were not allowed to use any kind of support on the outside of the tower that were visible. Fun fact, there are 294 steps on the north side of the tower and 296 steps on the south side. Visitors can climb to the top. Here are engineers repairing the Leaning Tower of Pisa in 1992. The engineers decided to use a process called under excavation. They would remove soil from under the north side of the tower. They hoped that this would shift the tower towards the north side, away from the direction of the tilt. The work took 10 years to complete and cost $40 million. In the end, the engineers were successful. The tower was shifted and was left leaning at a safe 3.99 degrees. Will it start shifting to the south again? No one really knows for sure, but for now, it can still be known as the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Say cheese! Tourists love to take pictures where they appear to be holding up the tower. This, of course, is only an optical illusion.